The first ever Nations Championship is taking place in 2026, and I think this is going to be a massive leap for international rugby. Now, of course, there is the Nations Championship and the Nations Cup as well, so that's the kind of tier 2 teams, the teams that are not qualified for the Nations Championships. There's going to be a lot of rugby played, but in this video, I'm going to be explaining exactly what the Nations Championship is. There's a lot of people confused by it. They're not really sure exactly how international rugby is changing, but I'm going to be telling you exactly what it is, what games are happening, and why I think it is one of the best things that could have ever happened to international rugby. But before we do get into it, if you guys do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate all the support. It helps the channel grow. We're nearly at 3,000 subscribers. I cannot believe it. I mean, I started this channel, I think it was it was November, December last year, so it's only been going for a few months, and I really appreciate all the support. That being said, I will be covering every single game of the Nations Championship, player ratings, match previews, match reviews, team predictions as well. It's going to be a lot of stuff happening. It's going to be very fun. So if you do enjoy that type of content, hit the subscribe button and stick around. So what is the Nations Championship? Well, for the first time ever, international rugby will be seeing the Nations Championship. This is where 6 teams from the Northern Hemisphere, the Six Nations teams, and 6 teams from the Southern Hemisphere all play in their own kind of tournament style matches to see who qualifies for a final weekend at the end of the season at Twickenham. Now, at first that sounds like a lot, but let me break it down for you. So first of all, the 6 teams from the Northern Hemisphere are England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, France, Italy. Now, the first 3 rounds, those teams will be touring to the Southern Hemisphere and playing against teams, the Rugby Championship teams such as South Africa, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, and of course, Fiji and Japan. So those are the 12 teams that are taking place in this year's Nations Championship. Now, how the kind of table works for this, there are going to be tables, there are going to be points. It isn't just going to be normal exhibition style international rugby games, even though in my opinion there's never such a thing as an exhibition international rugby game. Maybe the Barbarians, but that's not really classified as a test. These are really meaningful test matches, but what that does mean is that the normal June-July 3 test series kind of period where England would tour to South Africa and play 3 games, or Ireland would tour to Argentina and play 3 games, that's being scrapped now. So just like this, the Southern Hemisphere teams at the end of the year tour to the Northern Hemisphere and play a different Northern Hemisphere team every single week, and those Northern Hemisphere teams get their home games, which kind of benefits them a lot. That's going to be the same thing for the Southern Hemisphere teams now, except for Fiji. Fiji is the only team in this competition that won't actually have home games in Fiji during this competition. So every other team will have home games. Japan will be playing in Japan, Argentina and Argentina for this first 3 rounds. They'll be at home for the first 3 rounds, the same way that the Northern Hemisphere teams are at the end of the year and what we've normally been seeing for the end of year tours. Fiji is the only team that this isn't happening for, which I think is a massive shame. I really do want to see teams like England or France playing in Fiji. I think it would be absolutely awesome, and I really think that would benefit Fiji. They would have a massive advantage. They know the conditions. They grew up in those conditions. I mean, that would be absolutely awesome. So hopefully in the coming years when this tournament does happen, I'm not sure if it is a every year tournament. I think it might be, but hopefully it is, but I'm not too sure how it's going to work going forward. But for 2026, we do have this competition, and unfortunately Fiji will be playing their home games in Europe, in the Northern Hemisphere, in the UK. So I think their first games are in Liverpool, then they're playing in Cardiff, then also in Scotland as well. So unfortunate for them, but still, them being a part of this is really good for Fiji so that they can actually test themselves at the top level. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Now, the first 3 rounds will be taking place in July, and then the next few rounds will be taking place, I think it's in November. Yeah, it's in November. So how it works is the first round of games are New Zealand versus France in New Zealand on the 4th of July, Japan versus Italy, Australia versus Ireland, I cannot wait for that one, Fiji versus Wales at Cardiff Stadium, but it's a home game for Fiji, South Africa versus England in Johannesburg, Argentina versus Scotland in Argentina. Round 2, we have fixtures like New Zealand versus Italy in New Zealand, Australia versus France in Australia, Japan versus Ireland in Japan, Fiji versus England in Fiji, South Africa versus Scotland, and of course Argentina versus Wales. Round 3, we have Argentina versus England, South Africa versus Wales, Fiji versus Scotland, Australia versus Italy, Japan versus France, and Ireland versus New Zealand. So basically, for the first 3 rounds, Ireland, New Zealand, Japan, France, Australia, and Italy will be playing against the same type of teams from the Northern Hemisphere. They'll be playing against each other. Then Scotland, Wales, and England will be touring to the other side, playing against South Africa, Argentina, and of course Fiji. Now in November, that's when the Southern Hemisphere teams start touring to the Northern Hemisphere. Basically the exact same thing we are used to in international rugby, the end of year tours, but now it actually means something because now they're playing for points. So how it works is every 6 teams from the 6 nations will have their own kind of table, and however they do in their games against the Southern Hemisphere teams, they end up in a table like that. So they're not actually playing against each other there. It's always Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere, which makes it even more exciting. It is unfortunate though that at the end of the year, it is at Twickenham. I would like it to be maybe somewhere else, but they might maybe honestly in the future, they might change where the finals weekend will be going forward to make it more neutral as well. So I will get to that. That's a very exciting part about this though, that every single team plays in the same stadium in the same weekend. It's going to be absolutely awesome. But those fixtures: Ireland versus Argentina, Italy versus South Africa, Scotland versus New Zealand, Wales versus Japan, France versus Fiji, England versus Australia. Then we have Scotland versus Australia the next week, Ireland versus Fiji, England versus Japan, Wales versus New Zealand, Italy versus Argentina, France versus South Africa, and finally England versus New Zealand, Scotland versus Japan, Ireland versus South Africa in Dublin, Italy versus Fiji, France versus Argentina, and then Wales versus Australia. Now, how it works after that: once all those games have been completed, the first 3 rounds in the Southern Hemisphere, and then the second kind of round of 3 games in the Northern Hemisphere, there's going to be a table. So how the teams do in their respective games, so the Northern Hemisphere will have their own table, the Southern Hemisphere will have their own table. How they end there based on the points they scored and all the kind of log points, the bonus points and stuff like that, is how they will end. And then the finals weekend is where 6 versus 6, so 6 from the number 6 from the Northern Hemisphere plays number 6 from the Southern Hemisphere. Then on the same day, it's number 3 from the Northern Hemisphere plays number 3 from the Southern Hemisphere. The next day, we have number 5 from the Northern Hemisphere playing number 5 from the Southern Hemisphere. Then we have number 2 from the Northern Hemisphere playing number 2 from the Southern Hemisphere. Then on the final day, we have number 4 from the Northern Hemisphere playing number 4 from the Southern Hemisphere. And of course, number 1 from both hemispheres playing against each other. So it's not like a World Cup, but it really is entertaining. It makes the stakes a lot more for international rugby. Now, do I think there might be some little cracks in this kind of system they got going now? Yes, because France probably won't be able to take the strongest team for the first game against New Zealand, but they still probably will have a good chance, but they probably won't. England and Scotland or Wales probably won't play their strongest teams against Fiji if it is in between their travel schedules as well. So there is a lot to think about for those teams, kind of managing the load of the players, managing playing at a different place every week. But what I personally like, I mean, I am a Springbok fan, but I'm going to be watching this as a neutral. Obviously, I want South Africa to win, but still, that being said, what I really do like about this is that the same way that this Northern Hemisphere teams get a home week every single week at the end of the year tour, they get the home ground advantage, and another team has to tour to them and kind of deal with the touring and the travel and all that stuff. It's going to be the same for those Northern Hemisphere teams coming to the Southern Hemisphere. Now, that being said, I do think it's going to be a lot more tricky for the teams going from Argentina to South Africa and potentially back to the UK. What I think they might do is, if they have that kind of schedule, they'll probably put their best 2 teams for the South Africa and Argentina game and maybe play a bit of a different team against Fiji. But that being said, nowadays you cannot take Fiji lightly because they have such high quality players. So just to kind of summarize it, the top 6 teams from the Northern Hemisphere, the top 6 teams from the Southern Hemisphere in their rugby perspective kind of ways will be playing 4 log positions, 4 table positions on a kind of league table. They won't be playing against each other. It'll be North versus South the entire time. And at the end of the year, whoever ends 6 on the table plays 6. Whoever ends 5 plays 5. Whoever ends 3 plays 3. Just like that. And whoever plays 1 plays 1 to see who wins the Nations Championship. So if you are a rugby fan, get tickets for that weekend for Twickenham. I mean, if you can get a ticket for all 3 days of rugby there, that will be absolutely awesome. And I think it's going to be really good to see those teams touring, and for the Southern Hemisphere teams to not just play the same team for 3 weeks in a row. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the kind of incoming tours where Ireland plays against South Africa 3 times or England plays against New Zealand 3 times. But I definitely think I honestly do believe that this changes things up for the better for international rugby. It is a year out from the World Cup. You do have to manage your players. You do have to get your selections right. So maybe some teams won't be full strength every week. They might try a few things out, but it is international rugby at the end of the day. These teams do not joke around when it comes to international rugby. They play their best teams week in and week out, and I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. But let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. I hope you kind of understood my explanation. It's going to be absolutely awesome. The first 3 rounds are in the Southern Hemisphere. How are the teams going to do from north, touring to south, and changing venues every week? And then how are the Southern Hemisphere teams going to do at the end of the year, the kind of tours they used to, going to the north and playing a different team every week as well. It's going to be absolutely awesome. A lot of rugby, and I will be doing a lot of rugby content. Player ratings, match previews, match reactions, preview and predictions for the weeks as well, lineup predictions as well. So if you are a fan of any of these countries, subscribe and stick around, because I'll be covering every single one of these countries in this tournament. I will not leave one out. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot wait. This is really going to be a good change for international rugby. But let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think of the competition down below. I know it is a lot of travel for some of these teams, but that's just what international rugby is about. So hopefully you guys enjoy the content. If you do enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button and stick around. I cannot wait for this. It's going to be a very fun kind of coming few months. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.